Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the second virtual assembly of the week. As you'll know from my first assembly, the government was due to discuss full reopening of secondary schools on Monday evening, and they did send us guidance about reopening secondary schools from the 8th of March. We have taken a couple of days just to read through that guidance really clearly and to make plans here at King Henry School to make sure that we can open the school successfully from the 8th of March. And earlier today, I've written home to your parents and carers about our plans in detail. But I also wanted to put together a quick video presentation for our students as well, because you will have many questions, I'm sure, about what it will look like when you return to school this time too. And I want to try and ease any anxieties you may have and to ensure that you're looking forward to returning to us from the 8th of March. So I'm going to share my screen with you just for a few slides today so that we can begin to get an idea as to what we are looking at in terms of school reopening. So hopefully it's loading now and you'll be able to see my slides as they appear. So what are our plans for reopening? How are we going to support students upon the reopening? Well, as I said, the government has announced that all secondary schools will reopen during the week of the 8th of March, but only after students have had a COVID-19 test at school. This reopening is quite complicated because on the one hand, we're planning to welcome all of our students and year groups back. On the other hand, we have to try and test all students, and we've got 1,600 of you here at King Henry School. And then we've also got to consider how we're going to grade year 11 and year 13 qualifications, because they won't be doing their normal exams. So there's a number of different things for us to juggle and to plan for as a school. But primarily today, I want to talk to you about the return to school for all students in all year groups. What do we want to achieve from these plans? Well, we want to help everyone to get back into the routine of school. Having had 8 weeks away from the school physically, those daily routines of getting up on time, of making sure you've got your uniform on, of getting to school on time, all of those routines are going to take some time for us to re-establish. We want to support your well-being and your mental health. And we know that for all of us, lockdown this time around has again been a different experience. For some of us, it will be absolutely fine. And actually, we feel quite happy in terms of how it's been for the last 8 weeks. For others, it would have been a really difficult 8 weeks. So we want to prioritise and promote at all times your well-being and your mental health. We want to check how you're doing in all subjects to see whether there's any gaps or whether there's any lack of confidence, or actually whether you feel confident and comfortable in terms of your academic progress. We want to get some extracurricular clubs running again too. And we want to make sure that all year 11 and 13 students are supported with their next steps in terms of the grades that they are going to receive this year for their qualifications. So when will students be back? Well, under our plans that have been shared with families today, we will be returning on a staggered basis throughout the week of the 8th of March. We will be offering testing to all students whose parents have given permission for testing to be taken on different days. So you can see from the table here that next Friday, which is Friday the 5th of March, we will be offering testing to all students in year 10 and 11. That means that students in year 10 and 11 will be able to return to school fully on the morning of Monday the 8th of March at 9 AM. On Monday, the 8th of March, we would be testing year 8 students and our 6th form. That means that year 8 students and 6th form students will come at their allocated times of the day on Monday the 8th just for their test. And once that test is done, they will go home. Once all the testing is finished for those year groups then return to school on Tuesday the 9th of March. On Tuesday the 9th of March, year 7 and year 9 students will attend the school site for their tests. Once their tests are completed, they'll go home, and they will then be ready to join us on the full timetable on Wednesday the 10th. So my ambition is that by Wednesday the 10th of March, all students in all year groups will be back in school. If there's any problems with the testing, if there's any delays, if we're not getting through the 1,600 students quickly enough, we may have to adjust those timescales, but these are our intended timescales at the moment. How will we return to school? Well, in terms of COVID-19, we know that the virus hasn't gone away. There are still a number of cases out in our local community, and there's a very high chance that we may have confirmed cases going forwards. We know that nationally, the vaccination program for all adults won't be completed until July as well. So we need to be cautious in terms of some of the rules and some of the things that we have in place throughout the school. So we'll continue to have our staggered start and finish times for the rest of this year. The times of the school day will be the same as the timetable before Christmas that we had since the October half term. We'll continue to have a split lunch to reduce congestion at lunchtime. Key Stage 3 students, so those of you in Year 7, 8 and 9, will continue to have a 5-period day. We've also added an additional 16 hand sanitizer stations around the school site ahead of returning. The only change really here is that Year 10 and Year 12 students will now resume Period 6 alongside Year 11 and 13. So Year 10 and 12 students had dropped down to a 5-period day after the October half term. You'll now step up to the full 6-period day, just like those in Year 11 and Year 13. There will, however, be another change, because as the country comes out of lockdown cautiously, we want to go further in our attempts to minimise contact and student movement around the school to reduce congestion in the first few weeks back in school life. So to reduce the amount of social mixing and crowded corridors, we're going to trial for the first 4 weeks back the zoning of Key Stage 3 students in their house blocks. This means that for the first 4 weeks back, students in Year 7, 8 and 9 will be taught in your house areas in your form group bubbles. So all of your lessons in the day will be with those students in your form groups. You will be able to move around the building, but only in your block. So if I'm a York student in Year 7, 8 or 9, all of my lessons will be timetabled for the York corridors. If I'm a Windsor student in Year 7, 8 or 9, all of my lessons will be timetabled for the Windsor corridors, for example. This does mean that in Year 7, 8 and 9, as you're spending all day with the same students in your tutor group for all subjects, that you'll have new teachers in Key Stage 3 as well. We will then review that at Easter. Why are we doing this? Why trial the zoning of Key Stage 3 students? Well, number one, it will reduce congestion throughout the school at lesson changeover. Fewer people will be moving from one side of the school to another. It will ensure that students in Year 7, 8 and 9 are in smaller bubbles, so that if we do get a confirmed COVID case, we are reducing the risk of a whole year group having to self-isolate and lose more time out of school, because it would only be that one class of up to 30 students who would be affected. It will also ensure in the first 4 weeks back that students in Year 7, 8 and 9 who have had such a long time away from school will have strong oversight and support from their heads of houses, who will be physically in the same area as their students all day long. It will also mean that Years 7, 8 and 9 will also have a fresh start. When we get to the summer holidays, we have a 6-week break. And after a 6-week break, we get new timetables and new teachers and new exercise books, and we get tested to see what our knowledge is like. We've had 8 weeks away from the school site. So for Key Stage 3, we really need this to be almost like the start of a new academic year, a complete fresh start, an opportunity for everyone to start again. It also means that new teachers for Key Stage 3 will establish new relationships and new routines, and will ensure that you're supported in case there has been any missed learning during lockdown. And finally, for the future testing of students, when you're back in school, we'll be testing by form groups. And therefore, if we're testing during the school day, entire form groups, as you're being taught in those form groups, can go and be tested and return to classrooms in one group. So they are the reasons why this trial is being implemented. It will mean for Key Stage 3 students in Year 7, 8 and 9 that you'll be given new timetables upon your return to school, but you'll keep your form tutors, you'll keep your heads of houses, and in tutor times next week, you'll be given more information and the opportunity to discuss this trial. Like I say, it will then be reviewed at the Easter holidays in 4 weeks' time. What about years 10 to 13? Well, those studying GCSE, BTEC, vocational qualifications and A-levels do require the use of specialist classrooms and do need therefore to move around the full school site. As such, there will be no change to timetables, classes or teachers for students in year 10, 11, 12 or 13. What about face masks? Because you may have seen on the news that the government has recommended that face masks be worn in classrooms, not just corridors, for the next few weeks as schools return. And you can see there a rather wonderful West Ham United face mask that you can buy if you haven't got one. At King Henry School, in terms of face masks, we will strongly recommend that face masks are worn by students wherever possible, because when we're wearing face masks, we're looking out for each other and we're looking after each other. We're reducing the risk of passing COVID-19 on, and we're reducing the risk of having it passed to us and us catching it. Next week, all students will receive a virtual assembly, again about the importance of face masks and the appropriate use of them, how to wear them properly so that they are effective. We'll also add regular reminders to the school tannoy system. So apologies everyone, but you're going to start hearing my voice over the school bells reminding us to wear our face masks throughout the school day. However, I want to reassure students, we will not penalise or sanction students who are not able to wear face masks. And that approach has been explained in the letter to your parents and carers earlier today. What about exam grades for students in year 11 and year 13? It will be a worrying time, of course. The government has this week again announced guidance on how schools can issue grades to students. Well, more information to follow on this for those of you in year 11 and 13. Information about our process and timetable will be shared on Wednesday, the 3rd of March. We will also do an assembly for year 11 and 13 students next week, and we'll also launch a virtual parent event too to discuss our approach here at King Henry School. So more to come on that, but I want to reassure you that we are working on those plans as well as the reopening plans at the moment. Above all, we cannot wait to have you back. And as I've said before, there will be some of you who will be really looking forward to returning. There'll be some of you who are anxious still because of COVID-19. There'll be some of you who are a little bit concerned about what testing might look like, etc. But we can't wait to have you back. And we are really positive about the opportunities that we will have together again as a community for the rest of this academic year. It's fair to say that things won't be normal, though. It won't be a normal school. We're still going to have all of those measures in place to reduce the risk of social interaction and COVID-19. But we are, as a family here at King Henry School, and that's the culture that we've introduced this year, that we are now a school that really cares about the relationships between staff and students, that we are a school that looks out for each other and looks after each other at all times. And together we will overcome the challenges and get back into our school routine quickly. To help teachers to prepare for the return from the 8th of March, next Friday, which is the 5th of March, will be an inset day. So next Friday, a week today, there will be no live lessons, and there will also be no key worker or vulnerable student provision on site that day as we begin to prepare the site to have students return from the Monday. That Friday, if you remember, is also the day that we're trialling the testing of year 10 and 11 students. So we need to be able to focus on that process before they return full time from Monday the 8th. And for students in year 10 and 11, you'll be given time slots next week before Friday for you to attend the school site for your test. As I say though, when we look back, despite the challenges of COVID, despite the in-out nature of the school year so far, when I look back, and there's just some photos on the screen of things that we've already done, be it the extracurricular clubs, whether it's the charitable donations, whether it's the regeneration of the garden spaces, whether it's some of the fun activities in class, we have come such a long way as a community. And this is what I can't wait to get back to. All of us together, back in school, living our lives together, supporting each other and being that school community. So I hope that this has given you today some indication as to what it will look like when you return to school. Like I say, the letter to parents and carers has even more detail and was sent home on an email this morning. So do have a read of that with your families. And if you have any questions or concerns, or if you're not sure, or if you didn't quite understand something in this presentation, then your form tutors in your virtual form times next week will be available to ask and answer any questions that you may have. Above all, stay safe, look after yourselves, and we look forward to seeing you back during that week of the 8th of March. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.